Welcome, my friends, to a place where we share inspiration and positivity. Thank you for joining us on this exploration of Skeleton Crew short story collection. We hope you find it enlightening. Skeleton Crew is a short story collection by American writer Stephen King, published by Putnam in June 1985. A limited edition of 1,000 copies was published by Screen Press in October 1985, illustrated by J. Kelvin. Potter, containing an additional short story, The Revelations of Becka Paulson, which had originally appeared in Rolling Stone magazine July 19, August 2, 1984, and was later incorporated into King's 1987 novel The Tommyknockers. The original title of this book was Night Moves. Prepare yourself for an eye-opening discussion on stories in the upcoming portion of this video. Title originally published in One The Mist Dark Forces 1982 Here There Be Tigers Spring 1968 issue of Ubris 3 The Monkey November 1980 issue of Gallery 4 Kane Rose Up Spring 1968 issue of Ubris 5 Mrs. Todd's Shortcut May 1984 issue of Red Book 6 The Jaunt June 1981 issue of The Twilight Zone magazine 7 The Wedding Dig December 1980 issue of Ellery Queen's Mystery magazine 8 Paranoid A Chant previously unpublished 9 The Raft November 1982 issue of Gallery 10 Word Processor of the Gods January 1983 issue of Playboy 11 The Man Who Would Not Shake Hands Shadows 4 1981 12 Beetrel Fall 1984 issue of Weird Tales 13 The Reaper's Image Spring 1969 issue of Startling Mystery Stories 14 Known as Shadows 1978 15 For Own previously unpublished 16 Survivor Type Terrors 1982 17 Uncle Otto's Truck October 1983 issue of Yankee 18 Morning Deliveries Milkman previously unpublished 19 Big Wheels A Tale of the Laundry Game Milkman New Terrors 1980 20 Grammar Spring 1984 issue of Webbook 21 The Ballad of the Flexible Bullet June 1984 issue of the Magazine of Fantasy and Science Fiction 22 The Reach November 1981 issue of Yankee. As we enter this new phase, let's uncover the impact of overview on our broader topic. The collection features 22 works, which include 18 short stories, 2 novellas The Mist and The Ballad of the Flexible Bullet, and 2 poems Paranoid, A Chant and For Owen. In addition to the introduction, in which King directly addresses his readers in his signature conversational style, Skeleton Crew features an epilogue entitled Notes wherein King discusses the origins of several stories in the collection. The stories are collected from science fiction and horror anthologies Dark Forces, Shadows, Terrors, and New Terrors, genre magazine publications Twilight Zone, Ellery Queen's Mystery magazine, Startling Mystery Stories, Wordbook and Fantasy and Science Fiction, and popular magazines Red Book, Gallery, Yankee and Playboy. Although published in 1985, the stories collected in Skeleton Crew span 17 years from The Reaper's Image King's second professional sale when he was just 18 years old to The Ballad of the Flexible Bullet which was completed in 1983. The collection also features more personal works, including For Owen, the poem he wrote for his son, and Grammar, a horrific tale from an 11-year-old boy's perspective that seems to recall King's horrors living with his invalid grandmother. Of one of the stories in the collection, King says, "As far as short stories are concerned, I like the grisly ones the best. However, the story survivor type goes a little bit too far, even for me." With our curiosity piqued, let's embark on a dedicated exploration of film and television and its fascinating intricacies. The Raft was adapted as a segment of the 1987 New World Pictures anthology film Creepshow 2, with a script by George A. Romero, and directed by Michael Gornick. Word Processor of the Gods 1980 for Laurel TV, directed by Michael Gornick, was a 22-minute episode of Tales from the Dark Side. Grammar was adapted into an episode of the 1985 iteration of The Twilight Zone, written by Harlan Ellison. In 2014, it was loosely adapted into a film called Mercy, starring Chandler Riggs and Dylan McDermott. The Mist was adapted into the film The Mist 2007. The Weinstein Company, written and directed by Frank Darabont, which was released on November 21, 2007. It was later adapted as a 2017 Spike TV series. Survivor Type was adapted as an animated segment for a special episode of the 2019 Creepshow TV series with the main character voiced by Kiefer Sutherland. The jaunt will be made into a feature film by production company Plan B Entertainment, with Andy Muschietti set to direct. A film adaptation of The Monkey directed by Osgood Perkins with James Wan as executive producer through his Atomic Monster production label was released by Neon on February 21, 2025. Let's now zoom in on Dollar Baby adaptations and uncover the hidden gems that lie within. The following stories have been adapted as Dollar Baby short film Should There Be Tigers 1988 by Guy Madden, Kane Rose Up 1989 by David Celsius. Spiller's Paranoid 2000 by Jay Holborn. Here There Be Tigers 2003 by James Cochran. The Jaunt 2007 by Todd Gorman. Survivor Type 2011 by Chris Etheridge and Jason Palmer. The Reaper's Image 2013 by Sammy Bates. The Man Who Would Not Shake Hands 2022 by Nicholas Bromund. Kane Rose Up 2022 by Miguel Marquez. With that being said, let's now move on to other media adaptations. The Mist was adapted as a 90-minute full-cast audio recording in 1986 in 3D sound from ZBS Productions, released by Simon & Schuster, Inc. In 1985, the American Library Association issued a series of posters that featured celebrities encouraging Americans to patronize their local libraries. In one of these, Michael J. Fox holds a copy of Skeleton Crew while a skeletal hand rests on his shoulder. In the following segment, we'll be examining reception in greater detail. Neil Gaiman reviewed Skeleton Crew for Imagine magazine and described it as 500 pages of glorious goodies. Skeleton Crew is critically held as showing King as a maturing writer with greater breadth and depth than his previous short works. Skeleton Crew won the Locus Award for Best Collection in 1986. Let's now enter the realm of reviews and discover the fascinating stories it has to tell. Review by Foran Miller 1985 in Locus, April 1985. Review by Michael R. Collins 1985 in Fantasy Review, June 1985. Review by Doc Kennedy 1985 in Rod Serling's The Twilight Zone magazine, July 1985. Review by Don Samerson 1985 in Science Fiction Chronicle, October 1985. Review by Aldous Butteries 1985 in the magazine of Fantasy and Science Fiction, November 1985. Review by David Pringle 1985 in Interzone, Autumn 1985. Review by Roz Cabaney 1985 in Foundation, Autumn 1985. Review by Daryl Schweitzer 1986 in Science Fiction Review, Spring 1986. Review by Andy Sawyer 1986 in Paperback Inferno. I'm here to provide you with the best information, so let me know what else you'd like to learn about.